The future of Angel Reese in the WNBA just took a crazy turn, and if you believe she was a beginner, there was enough drama in the season. So reconsider. The situation is going to get even more bizarre. Major news has just revealed by ESPN about what is ahead for Ree, and believe me when I say, is not the result that everyone had anticipated. She entered the league with a lot of enthusiasm, self-assurance, and significant talent, but now, questions are being raised about her future, and never before has the spotlight been so intense for basketball fans have been glued for months. Concerning the competition between Angel Reese and it is comparable to the WNBA's Caitlin Clark, a blockbuster Showdown 2 version. Youthful celebrities with enormous promise. But ESPN's most recent report has now included further development in the narrative. Reese, she has never been afraid to voice her opinions, now confronts her greatest obstacle. Will she overcome her doubts about her career and quit the critics? Is she WNBA fantasy beginning to fall apart just as Reese appeared to be prepared to solidify? This news reveals her status as a top star, and the basketball world is being shaken by it. There are inquiries concerning her performance, her guidance, and even her. Can she demonstrate her role in expanding the league? Is everyone mistaken, or is the buzz only beginning to diminish? However, before delving into do yourself a favor by getting juicy data like. Also, you will not be able to subscribe to the channel. Wish to overlook what occurs next because ESPN's disclosures might alter everything you believed you understood. Prepare yourselves, Angel Reese, for some serious. Let's set the stage, Angel Reese, with some surprises. Unquestionably, Swagger made an entrance into the WNBA with an average of 11.5 points for confidence and a rookie's 9.2 rebounds per game. Season. Her numbers may appear to be stable at. It's not a headline at first glance. Captivating performance, but nevertheless respectable. These figures point to a player who is making an effort and contributing the work, but upon closer inspection, yes, she was on, but the shine is starting to go. Addition to the stat sheet by the court, but there is a significant distinction between raising the figures and having a real influence on the game.
I think the biggest thing she should focus on is just finishing around the rim. That is something where maybe her rebounds will be halved. However, she will still make such an impact.
Let's move on to her shooting now. At this point, things start to change for someone spending a great deal of time close to the only 39% of baskets were made from the field. Is troubling since it suggests inconsistency, ineffectiveness, and missed opportunities in the WNBA, where even tiny differences might determine a game. Those missed shots quickly mount up.
Angel Reese shot 39% from the field, and she took 90% of her shots from inside 8 feet.
For a player who plays like Reese, her field should be at the rim. Objective percentage to be higher than. Players in that role are either dunking shots or laying it up. You'd anticipate entering more frequently than not, but for Ree, it wasn't the case very frequently. She failed to take photos that were supposed to. Simple finishing, and this is where it becomes difficult in contrast to someone like Caitlin Clark, who never fails to deliver deep three-pointers with superior. Reese's difficulties with shooting effectiveness becomes more noticeable beneath the basket, bearing in mind as Clark is out creating. Deep shots appear natural and keeping up a greater shooting percentage. It begs the important question of what's going on. Incorrect for Reese, let's be clear. Basketball isn't a game of missed shots. Flawless. But in Reese's instance, it wasn't. A few shots were missed here and there. It started to happen frequently, particularly during critical times when she had to step up for the squad. She frequently took credit for herself. Recovers from such turnovers. But there's something weird about that. How much does your hustle show when you're cleaning? That's upping your own missed shots. Decision, or does it indicate? Critics of inefficiencies began examining her rebounding statistics in further detail, and What they discovered did raise some eyebrows. She had 9.2 rebounds, more than any other rookie, per game, which initially appears remarkable. But if you look a little closer, you'll see a significant portion of those rebounds originated from her own missed. In essence, she was patting her with shots. By engaging in a game of fetch with, you looked fantastic in the double-doubles on paper, but were they actually helping the team achieve success? Most people view double-doubles as an indication of power, particularly for players on the front court who are consistently accumulating double-digit scores, and rebounders are usually people who are managing the paint and producing a substantial effect. Although in Reese's instance, not all of those double-doubles changed the game. Critics of performances noted that, although her numbers appeared to be stable, they didn't imply that she was only reversing the trend of the game.
Reese with another rebound, making 18 rebounds. Remember, she's gone back-to-back with 20 rebounds. Looking, pursuing. Once again, Reese with the tip, another chance. Reese trying to put it back.
ESPN. With this, analysts had a field day. Reese's self-rebounding theory became a joking about. Angel Reese is the athlete who increases her own numbers by obtaining her own missed shots is a critical assessment, yet more people is the one that caught on, began to doubt the true worth behind her numbers as admirers rejoiced. The experts didn't agree with her double-doubles, so certain that they weren't inquiring how she got a lot of rebounds because they wanted to understand the number of people she missed on her own. While Caitlin Clark was out, gunfire. There are triple-doubles being performed with clinical precision of Clark's work were effective, significant, and most crucially resulted in victories. When you contrasted Reese's and Clark's numbers, the distinction was that Stark Clark was in the lead, her squad making crucial shots, and she exudes a calm assurance. Conversely, Reese appeared to miss important prospects, and in the perspective of numerous pivotal milestones and failures occurred, this results in one of Reese's most significant problems. When she was under pressure, she didn't always step up to the plate in high-stakes games when she was required by her team to. Reese frequently failed to deliver these moments that define players, particularly in the early, during the regular season of their careers. Games are important, but they're the main ones that garner national notice or playoff inferences that leave a legacy. In those moments, impressions and struggled in spite of everything. Assurance didn't appear to falter, even as Reese, her game was being questioned, kept a brazen sense of confidence that she accepted her position as the vocal rookie, asserting that she was the cause of fans were watching the WNBA, but she wasn't. She was the primary player, but event, or so she thought, but the truth told a different tale.
The reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person, it's because of me too, and I want y'all to realize that.
When Reese wasn't playing, with a wrist injury that was not anticipated, actually increased attendance. Yes, as Ree was seated on the bench, WNBA supporters continued to arrive, and occasionally, in even greater quantities. It was an odd twist for a person who had stated that, as one might imagine, the league's biggest draw, attendance will decline if none of the leading figures in the league on the court. Instead, it spiked.
NBA has been around a couple of decades, and people didn't notice the game. They're noticing it now. Well, that's because of Caitlin Clark, not Angel.
For instance, when a matchup with the Connecticut Sun on, with Reese sitting out on August 17th, attendance increased to 9,311 as an increase from the prior. This caused an unpleasant situation throughout the home game. I wonder whether fans were actually there to watch Reese, or was her fame exaggerated? Compare that to what transpired when the impact of Caitlin Clark missing games. Attendance immediately declined, and TV ratings declined. Fans were obviously aware of her absence in one. TV ratings for the game in late August dropped by 18% in the absence of Clark's playing. When Clark wasn't there, the difference was clear. People on the court sensed it when Reese wasn't playing, the performance continued as usual. This analogy presented Reese in an unpleasant light, her story of being the primary cause of the supporters' attention. The media ran as things were beginning to go apart with this plot, and shortly the topic of discussion changed to Reese's self-assurance before her debut season had fallen short of expectations, and even the attendance figures did not support her assertions.
Angel Reese, playing for a team that went 13-27, missed the playoffs, and their coach got fired. And she missed the last 6 games of the season with an injury. Caitlin Clark plays all 40 games, leads the Indiana Fever to their best record since 2015, leads the league in assists, puts up almost 20 points a game.
The similarities between Clark and Reese have. Reese has had a difficult time, and they have not completed any favors for her. Clark has swiftly become a favorite among fans by putting up historic figures that led her group to triumphs and accomplishes everything with a gentle grace. That stands in stark contrast to Reese's audacious. Conversely, persona Reese is missing important events and, for many, fulfilling her own promises. Reese's difficulty entering her sophomore year. It's obvious that she has to improve her game. The excitement around her won't be sufficient if she is unable to perform in court. The WNBA is expanding quickly, and with that, progress requires attention too. Reese arrived with marketability and star power, joined the league with much anticipation, but if she doesn't begin to generate that buzz, will swiftly diminish the competition between Clark and Reese, who had the capacity to be a powerful source of inspiration for both players, has been biased thus far in Clark's favor. Clark has gained widespread recognition, smashing records almost immediately, managing her group, and gaining the attention of the media. Commend Reese for her talent, having bursts of genius, but hasn't been dependable.
Angel Reese is the villain, Caitlin Clark is the hero, and Angel Reese continued to play into it last night by getting ejected, and it's almost like it's all scripted. This is perfect for the WNBA. She's all the talk. She's the one standing up there in front of reporters saying, I need all of you guys to realize there's 2 of us that changed the game of women's basketball, and it's not just Caitlin Clark. I was a part of that 2 years ago in the national championship game, and it's going to continue to be that way from here on out. I kind of love it. I don't agree with her. It's way more Caitlin Clark than it is Angel Reese, but I like the fact that she's willing now to play more of the villain, and then she gets herself tossed from the
fans have observed. Additionally, STK Reese has been the divide, has adopted a villainous persona, accepting the notion that she is the one playing. Humans enjoy hating, but here's the thing. It only works to portray the villain if you decide to play that, you will win. Part you must play in order to control. LeBron James has been criticized, for instance, throughout his professional life, but he keeps quiet. His skeptics, by continuously raise you are performing at a high level, isn't providing that type of performance rather than her attempts to play. The antagonist frequently feels coerced, and she has attacked Clark out of desperation. Yet, the reason they haven't landed is that Clark is too busy setting records to even reply. Clark has adopted a work-focused, drama-free strategy for her ascent in the league that Reese has been entangled in, attempting to steer the story.
Angel Reese is mad because she feels that the media and social media have made her out to be the villain. And why might that be? Is it possible because just like right here, Angel Reese chose to behave like a villain. Not only did Angel Reese choose to behave like a villain going all the way back to her time at LSU, she openly said she had no problem being the bad guy. And when that came back to bite her in the butt and her season blew up and she realized people didn't really like her, instead of accepting responsibility and accountability for her actions and her trash talk and all that stuff, she decided to turn and blame the media. Welcome to 2024. Nobody's responsible for their own actions anymore. It's always someone else's fault. The media didn't force Angel Reese to behave the way she did. I didn't force Angel Reese to behave the way she did. Angel Reese, an adult woman, chose to behave that way. And now she's learning Americans don't really like the villain when we have a hero like Caitlin Clark.
This has caused Reese to make some mistakes both on and outside the court where she has lodged a complaint, bias in the media, unjust criticism, and has even alluded to racism concerns among WNBA fans. But Clark's backers are devoted, and they adore players that possess their errors and endeavor to do better. The frequent deflections of Reese haven't sat well with admirers who merely like to see her assume accountability and ascend to the difficulty. Reese's first season wasn't dominating, and the justifications are beginning to where thin fans are looking for outcomes, not simply converse. And while Reese has her incapacity to fulfill her potential as a star, accept accountability is keeping her back in a league where diligence is valued. Players with growth and humility like Clark are prospering while Reese is lagging behind. Reese is currently in a difficult situation. She has really embraced the villain role that has become ingrained in her brand, but that function is only effective if you're supporting it with wins, and at this moment, Reese isn't acting in that manner. Rather, she's having trouble being relevant in a intensely competitive league in which there is little room for error. Yet Clark keeps gaining admirers with her composed, targeted strategy, allowing her to speak for themselves, and it's having an impact. Reese on with the media and fans. However, the opposite hand is unable to persuade everyone that she is acting unfairly handled, but in the WNBA, deference must be acquired on the court by competing against Clark, rather than serving as an inspiration for Reese is now the center of attention. Imperfections rather than letting them motivate her rise, allowing it to reveal her. In the meanwhile, Clark's vulnerabilities, taking pleasure in the fruits of her labor, gaining support, recognition, and a solid fan base in the event that Reese doesn't take over shortly. This competition will only get more intense. Draw attention to her flaws while Clark stays committed to winning and creating. The WNBA is expanding rapidly, and teams and brands must be marketable, are seeking athletes who can provide both on and off of Reese's present. Her trajectory doesn't make her stand out. Regardless, Angel Reese's rookie. The WNBA season has been unpredictable, roller coaster with many highs and lows, and there's a lot of drama in the league. With her audacious demeanor, Rhee had everyone's attention. Her while attempting to leave her mark on a league in search of fresh talent, while her numbers indicated promise, especially her rebounding. A closer examination showed some disturbing trends in her shooting proportion and lost chances under the basket, prompted inquiries regarding her effectiveness and confidence. Never appeared to let the media down, and fans started to question if Reese's she supported the fearless persona on court. Performance among the most significant difficulties that Rhee encountered as a newbie season was frequently compared to Caitlin Clark, who has been absolutely sensational, swiftly gained popularity. Favorite, using her to dominate the league. Leadership with a sharp shooting focus and consistency, but Reese, in spite of moments of brilliance, but found it difficult to preserve the same degree of influence that the two players' rivalry, which had the capacity to be the motivating force for both, has been significantly skewed thus far. In Clark's favor, Clark's exhibits have resulted in triumphs, while Reese's flaws have been enlarged, particularly in relation to converting the shots she missed and lost chances under intense strain. Moment after moment, another hit to Reese's tail. She asserted that she was the league's top attraction when she was absent because to injury attendance. In fact, game numbers rose, raising questions about her influence off the court in the interim while Clark was out of games. A discernible decline in fan interest. This striking contrast brought to light the disparity between the two players, viewed by both the media and fans. Reese's difficulties affected more than just her personal statistics. They started a conversation point for the ESPN pundits, who made fun of her tendency to bounce back on her own. She was able to recover her own missed shots, both evidence of her diligence and inefficiency indicator, a point that didn't remain ignored by her detractors. But it's crucial to keep in mind that Reese's career is only getting started. Despite her obstacles, she can develop and grow into the celebrity she wants to be. Many players have failed in the WNBA. Difficulties in the early stages of their careers only to become well-known later. If Reese can concentrate on raising her game, especially her shooting, and she might still be able to make decisions. One of the best players in the league, being in competition with Clark doesn't have to instead define her. It might be the spark that encourages her to fulfill her. Nevertheless, Angel Reese's potential. The WNBA's future is still very much in her hands. Are talented and driven, and the opportunity to silence her detractors and demonstrate her value, but in order to, she must ignore the distractions.